Before Sparking Zero came out, everyone was excited about what it was going to bring to the table. We went back to that classic Budokai Tenkaichi gameplay with all new characters, new mechanics, and some game modes that would feed us for ages. A part of me thought that there was no way that people would try to tear this thing to shreds. Coming out on the exact same year that we lost Toriyama, everyone and their mom was gonna buy this to show some respect to the GOAT. Plus, it dropped around the same time as Daima. People were concerned about that at first, but it's shaping up to be great so far. So with Sparking Zero as that cherry on top of all this Dragon Ball greatness, what could possibly go wrong? Today I want to dig into some of my favorite parts of Sparking Zero while also touching on some areas where myself and others think it could have been better. For a game that was so highly anticipated, it kind of lived up to the hype for me, but maybe not for the whole community. We can't talk about a fighting game without getting into the core mechanics, and Sparking Zero has a lot of new ones. The gameplay is pretty similar to the Tenkaichi series that we grew up on, with some added features that give you more options to mess around with. First, we have skill counts that build up as you're in the middle of a fight. These are extremely important, especially depending on the character that you're using. These let you charge into your sparking mode where you can activate your ultimate attacks. But they also let you pull off other techniques that can boost your stats, impair your opponent, or even heal some of your health. It's a risk and reward system that makes you think before throwing anything out. So it's great having this to balance things out a bit more. A lot of the other new mechanics do a great job of making the fast-paced combat feel more intense. Things like super perception that lets you deflect a whole energy attack like it was nothing, or just being able to stop combos with perfect timing. Then we have revenge counters, vanishing assaults, and plenty of other techniques that I'm probably not the best with myself. But the point is that a lot of the new improvements make this into a game that is really fun to play and also fun to watch. There's a lot of moments where fights start to feel like you're watching it take place in an episode, and that's the thing that I love the most here. I mentioned in a video before about how the camera movement by itself was so important in a lot of these fights, and I still stand by that today. The graphics and the visual effects make these fights look amazing, but it's all about how fast-paced everything feels. When you're in the middle of a beatdown, you feel those punches as the camera shakes and the UI rumbles. The small details like this go a long way to make these games feel more satisfying. But after all the mechanics and the graphics, we still have the different game modes to dive into. Now the story mode this time around is super short, with the whole thing being around 10 hours to finish. But because this is a fighting game first, it doesn't really matter that much. Episode battles are split between perspectives, seeing the story through characters like Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and even Jiren. And obviously a lot of these stories are going to be short, like Goku Black, who only appears in one arc. Even Vegeta gets screwed over, with his story ending at the Buu Saga instead of entering into anything that has to do with Dragon Ball Super. So yeah, you wouldn't play this for a full retelling of the Dragon Ball story. But luckily that's what we have Kakarot for, so go play that for the detailed plot. But what this story mode does the best is giving you options of how you want to change parts of the story. So instead of Cell coming back to absorb the androids and become perfect, you can see an alternate ending where he just never becomes perfect. It's cool to see how these play out, and it fits well with the series having so many what-if stories in the past games. Some of the objectives can be a little bullshit though. You can't just finish a fight all the time, since you'll need to beat enemies in a certain period of time to unlock branches on the timeline. And that includes some fights that are tough when the CPU has some cheating ass reaction times. It feels like they're encouraging you to spam, because otherwise the computer will not play fair. But getting all the alternate endings is just another challenge that gives you a satisfying reward. And if you want even more of those what if stories, we can step out of the story mode and right into custom battles. For me personally, the custom battles are where Sparking Zero became the most fun. You might be asking about the online, ranked, and tournament battles, but we'll get to that in a bit. But if you want more crazy what-if situations, then this is where you're gonna get your fix. The game comes preloaded with some scenarios that are pretty fun and challenging, but the real fun is the custom battles made by other players. Most of them for the first week were obviously fights with Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta versus Kaba. But one of my favorites was a 5v1 battle with some of the strongest characters going against Yajirobe. And the fun part is you're not playing playing as Yajirobe against those 5, you're the 5 playing against Yajirobe, and he's actually kinda tough. And you know, he also just heals himself every 5 seconds. The level of nonsense, tomfoolery, and customization here is great. It's on a level where I wish I could make something half as decent, but I'm better off just playing everyone else's stuff. Because there's no limit to the kind of content that's uploaded on here, it's gonna be some of the highest replay value to me. No more playing through the same exact sagas and scenarios over and over, because you'll always have something new waiting for you. My only beef with the custom battles is the grammar. It's not a huge deal, but the dialogue is so weird because of the limited options we have. And I get it, we can't add in our own text because dudes would totally get banned for the battles they create. Because if you thought a 5v1 against Yajirobe was bad, imagine what people will do with a 5v1 against Kefla. But finally, we get into the real battles with other players online. This part is where I see a lot of people getting conflicted over things. The main reason that a lot of fans bought this game was to go online and have some fun. Even if that means that you'll run into the usual bullshit along the way. Overpowered characters, cheap tactics, and players leaving matches so they don't take L's. I'm not a huge fan of going against randoms online myself, so I didn't spend too much time online. But based on everything I'm hearing from the community, things sound exactly like what I expected. When it comes to the ranked mode, plenty of players are saying the highest tiers are filled with nothing but fusions and brolies. And that's not really surprising because those are the most powerful characters in the whole game. People are going to use whoever is going to get them the most wins so they can be in that top ranking spot and earn those bragging rights. But to me, that still just feels a bit weird. I've heard people mention that the Tenkaichi games were never meant to have ranked modes or to be taken seriously for tournaments. And while I sort of agree with that, you'd be out of your mind to release a fighting game in 2024 and not expect dudes to be competitive. Toxicity or not, that community is what keeps these kind of games alive, so you gotta expect it. For me though, I'm still nostalgic about playing the Tenkaichi games on PS2 and having a blast with my friends and cousins. And things are a lot different now than they were back then, but I think Sparking Zero did its job satisfying those old Tenkaichi fans. It won't feel the exact same way as when your family would get together while you host a tournament in the living room with your cousins, but being able to link up online and whoop a few asses with friends is all I really need from this game. What I wanted from Sparking Zero was that large roster, the fun gameplay, and some more of those crazy what-if scenarios. And to me, it delivered on those things, and I'm glad to see everyone coming together to enjoy it. There might be some issues here and there with the matchmaking and of course some balance issues, but those are things they can always work through in the future. As of right now, it's only a month after release and they already have some patches for stability and to nerf the menace known as Yajirobe. So I'm positive that as soon as we start getting more DLC characters, there's going to be even more changes to look forward to. And you might have seen the articles talking about how 90% of the player base already left after the first few weeks, but what more could you expect really? To be honest, Sparking Zero is going to turn into one of those games I'll put down and pick back up every time a new character comes out or some new major change happens. But for a game that was so hyped and anticipated, it doesn't surprise me at all that most of the people who bought it probably won't even bother trying to go online. Hell, check the achievements for yourself and see how many players even tried to do online battles. So it's between that and the complaints people have with the rage quitting and seeing the same 5 characters over and over online. So if you're still sticking with the game for the long term and getting your matches in on the daily, more power to you. Hopefully we do see some great changes to bring back more players and have an even better experience along the way. But let me know your thoughts on Sparking Zero in the comments. Is there anything major you think needs to be changed here, or is it just perfect as it is? Subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.